So this is the state of play today. So all of this is now dry. The water I did yesterday, and that is now dry. The only thing left to do is the reflection of this tree here in the water. Now it's quite, it's not a very thick tree, and of course the reflection, long focus, there we are, is going to be sort of fairly tricky, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that now. And then once that's done, there's not a lot left to do. Let's get working on that right now. I think what I'm going to do first is just sketch the tree over the water here, just so I can get everything in the right place. I just want to make sure that I'm copying it. You know, there's nothing worse than having the reflection that isn't in the right position. So just the main trunks, I'm just going to put in just a little line there, just so that I can see where they're going to be. And it's really only those trunks that are that sort of obvious. We're just going to sort of almost do a bit of a block in really with that first, and then we can refine it once we get working on some of the detail. So it's like very much a green, sort of darkish green there. It comes right from this point here. So I just added a bit of dioxine purple and cobalt blue. So I'm just doing those darker areas. I'm not using any thinner or liquid or any sort of medium at all there, because we're trying to cover over that blue. We want that paint to be nice and undiluted, so that it gives a better coverage. So I've only really done the thicker trunks to begin with, and the thicker branches, because the thinner ones are just less defined. So for example, this one that comes up here, it's more of a real sort of wiggly line, probably even a bit broken in places as well. So it's more like this, where that ripple is just affecting that reflection. It's got more of a wavy, broken line. Okay, I'll leave that there for now. I'm going to do the lighter areas, and there's actually not a great deal of the lighter reflection in there. It's probably just this area here. You lose any of the lightness on the branches as you come sort of beyond about this point here. So I'm just going to lighten up on this area here, and then we should be ready to get going on the rest of it. Okay, so now I'm ready to do more of the subtle colours that are going to be in that water there. Now I've done the water or the sky reflection a little bit darker than you've got in the photograph. I just felt that it looked a little bit better being darker. So I need to get those colours there that are just off off-white really. They're sort of, you've got that just sort of very subtle blue, so I'm going to need to go a little bit darker than it is in the photograph, just so that it's stands out on that blue there. So let's see if we can mix the right colour. So those marks are there's no sort of real obvious pattern to it. I'm just doing a sort of I suppose it's a little bit like a scribble in a way, just a horizontal scribble just with the end of the brush. Kind of just looks messy, the photograph really. So we get the lion's share of this tree, or the reflection, in with this blue here, and it's just a very subtle colour. And then once we've done that, we'll then put in some colour variations, and also some lighter, and possibly not lighter, but certainly some darker areas as well. Just a bit more of that detail. But I'm just going to go over pretty much most of the area where you've got a reflection of leaves with this blue. Right, so now we've got that sort of lighter detailing in there. Just going to go in now with something a little bit darker, a bit stronger. Something sort of a little bit nearer to the colour of the tree trunk reflection. Still using some thinner here, just to keep that flow. And pretty much doing the same thing that I did with the lighter blue areas, but I'm just going to put in a bit more contrast with the darks. Okay, coming up to the sort of near the end of doing this reflection, one thing I'm going to do, just to give it that little bit more, or make it look a little bit more like the photograph, is where you've got the where you've got these ripples on these main branches here. Those edges of those branches still look a little bit too straight, a little bit too solid, so I'm just going to bring some of the sky reflection in. It's sort of subtle You know, a subtle thing to do. It's just, but it will make a difference. Probably not fully necessary, but so that just helps it to look as if there's a little bit more movement over those trunks there. Just a little detail, but I think it makes it look a bit better. Probably going to just define these edges here a little bit more while I've got that blue paint mixed. Okay, so there we have it. Pretty simple, very quick. It's when you get that water very ripply like that, I think it makes it a lot easier. And also because I was painting, I mean the sky, or everything I'd done up until the start of this video was already dry, so I'm painting wet paint on dry paint there, so it's easy to get it nice and sharp. Now if you didn't have, if it wasn't very ripply and you had a lot more sort of downward sort of blending to do, then that would make it a bit more difficult doing it on a dry surface. You'd probably want to do that more of a wet on wet, I would say, so it makes it easier to get that softness and that blending. But when it's like that and it's nice and sharp, yeah, it is preferable, I think, to do it on the dry background. But yeah, that's not too bad. Pretty pleased with that. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to now have a nice cup of tea and get going on the rest of the picture. I'll see you later.